Welcome to the series where I test out the OSRS Wiki money-making guides. I started this series almost a year ago, and since then we've tried out multiple methods even if they're a little silly, such as picking bananas or even flax. If you enjoy these types of videos, then feel free to check out the playlist that I've made for them, and feel free to leave a suggestion down in the comments for a method that you'd like to see tested. With that being said, let's get into the video. So for today's video we'll be checking out the Wyrms. I got a Slayer task to kill them, so that's what we'll be doing today, and these can be found in the Karum Slayer dungeon. Now for this video I am going to be using ranged, since the comment below the suggestion asked for it. And I think range is actually the better thing to use here, just because you can take less damage and you could possibly get more kills per hour if you choose to use a toxic blowpipe. So there isn't a guide on the wiki for the Wyrms, so today we'll be taking a look at how much GP we can make in this 1 hour or in this one task, whichever one comes first. So let's go ahead and get into the gear setup. So as for the gear setup, I'm just bringing my best in slot range that I currently own. I'm bringing my Dragon Hunter crossbow, since the Wyrms are affected by Dragon Bane weapons, which means that if you want to use a melee setup, you can also bring the Dragon Hunter lance for the extra accuracy and damage. I'm bringing full armadillo along with my twisted buckler, necklace of anguish, slayer helmet of course, the Ava's assembler, the amethyst broad bolt to save on money, Pegasian boots, but if you don't have the elite diary done for this area, then you need to bring either the boots of brimstone or boots of stone so you can protect your feet. Barrow's gloves and an archer's ring imbued, along with divine ranging potions, prayer potions, some food, max cape for teleport out of there, teleport to home, and then teleport to crafting guild. So if you don't have that, then of course you can bring either teleport tablets and maybe even dueling rings to bank. I'm bringing the bone crusher necklace, since I don't plan on picking up the bones and selling them, since they're only worth about 1k each. And I'm also bringing a rune pouch filled with alch runes and an herb sack. Now this setup is pretty expensive, so if you don't have a Dragon Hunter crossbow, you can bring a toxic blowpipe. That might actually be faster kills per hour, but it'll cost a little bit more since you have to worry about scales and darts. But yeah, overall you might actually be better off using the blowpipe, but I feel like using the Dragon Hunter crossbow for this video. As for the armor, you can bring either black d'hide or blessed d'hide, and then the Pegasian boots, boots of brimstone will work just fine. And then of course for the necklace you could bring a amulet of glory. Now as for getting there, there are a couple of ways. First way, you can use the fairy ring, so make sure you have a Draman staff or a lunar staff. It's code CIR. This will take you pretty close to the area. From here you can go up and take the agility shortcut up to Mount Karum to get up here. If you don't have access to fairy rings, then you can also use the skills necklace to teleport to the farming guild and then simply run up over here. Or if you have the elite diary done for this area, you can just bring your Rada's Blessing 4, right click on it, and then click on Mount Karum, and it will take you directly to the area. Once you're here, just click on the elevator, let's take it down, and then from here you'll want to run northwest. Hop over the rocks that are right here, and then just continue down this path and you will eventually find your way to the Wyrms. As you can see, here they are. Pretty interesting animations they have here, and they're not aggroed, which is very nice. There's also a Slayer only area, so if you jump over this lava gap right here, this is the Slayer only area for the Wyrms. As you can see, it's a lot less crowded. Not really that many people here, so pretty neat. Also, it is important to note that these are safe spottable. There's actually a safe spot right here, so let's see if I can do this correctly. If I attack the worm and get him on that spot, and then run over here, the worm shouldn't be able to attack me from right here. So as you can see, I can safe spot, and I don't have to worry about taking any damage whatsoever. So, a neat little place if you don't want to waste supplies. The only problem with this is that since the worm isn't attacking you, it will de-aggro and go back into its, I guess, idle form, so you will have to click on it once again. But yeah, that's a pretty sweet spot if you plan on safe spotting them. Me currently, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go over here where there's a lot of them and just attack all of them that I see. We have 128 worms to kill. 129, but we just killed one from the safe spot area. Now like I said before, if you want faster kills and a faster task, the blowpipe is probably much better. Don't forget you can also use Rigor and Eagle Eye to speed up the kills. This will, however, use up prayer points, and you will need to bring prayer potions. So we'll see if it's worth using these prayers. Honestly, this task probably isn't going to be a great moneymaker, so I guess doing it as fast as possible is the way to go. And yeah, since we're using ranged, we can attack them from a distance, which means they can't hit us with melee, only magic. So if you didn't want to use a safe spot, but you were okay with using prayer, you could just use protect from mage, and you would also mitigate all damage that you would take. But since we have high defense gear for magic, we're not going to be using pray magic to save on some prayer points, and we'll just use it on rigor. The worms also have a superior variant known as the shadow worm, so we'll see if we get to see any of those throughout this one task. And it kind of goes without saying, but if you want to conserve on prayer points, you could choose to flick the rigor prayer, but I'm kind of lazy, so I'm not going to be doing that. Now these worms actually have a pretty cool drop table. They have a chance at the dragon sword, dragon harpoon, dragon knives, and dragon thrown axes. Only problem is, it's not really worth too much nowadays. The best drop is probably the dragon harpoon, which is at about 1 mil. And the dragon sword, unfortunately, is at 45k right now, so yeah, not a great drop to get. Seems like not too long ago the dragon sword was over 1 mil, but those days are behind us, I guess. Dragon dagger, okay. Not exactly the dragon harpoon that we're looking for, but I mean, if we attach this to a stick, it's pretty much the same thing, right? I suppose if you wanted to, you could also bring a seed box, since they do have a chance at dropping some seeds. Most of them aren't really valuable, so I wouldn't say it's a complete necessity, but if you do have the box, then might as well bring it. The only ones that really have a value attached to it is, I'd say, the snapdragon seeds and the torstal seeds. Everything else is not really worth picking up. I just noticed my bone crusher has over 83,000 charges left. I forgot that I charged it up quite a bit. I know I did it for a reason. There was some sort of reason why I did that. It was going to be for some sort of video. I can't think of... Oh, okay. It might have been the Champion's Cape grind. I might have had a lot more charges in there. I can't really remember, but I think that's what it was for. It's good to know that we still have a lot left over. I think the only other time that I've come here to kill worms was like on release day. And back then it was extremely packed. It was hard to find a worm to yourself, but now there's just nobody here. Not really a great task. I think most people might actually skip these. They don't really drop anything that's noteworthy. Another cool and fun, interesting fact is that these worms also have a chance of dropping nothing. That was the second kill that I've done where they dropped absolutely nothing, so that's always nice to see. I gotta say, I really like all the monsters down here in the Karum dungeon. The hydras, the worms, the drakes, they all look really, really cool. I think it'd be even cooler if each monster had their own boss. For instance, if there was a worm boss, kind of like there's an alchemical hydra boss. If there was a drake boss, I think that would be pretty cool. I'm just thinking about like having one of these guys following you around like as a pet, but obviously it couldn't come from killing these guys. It'd have to be from a boss, so that could be pretty cool. And there we go. There's the last kill of the task. It took us only just over 40 minutes to complete this one task, so not that long, not that bad. And let's go ahead and do a price check now. If we do a price check, it's valued at just around 416,000 coins. I'm gonna go to the GE and sell them off. Probably gonna get less money than what was just shown there, just because I'm gonna sell them off as quickly as possible. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Alright, there we go. So everything's been sold for a total price of 414,000 coins. Not bad. Again, you could pick up the the worm bones and sell them for like 1,000 each, but I think you'll be making less money overall because you have to be banking a lot more, and the trip to get there is a pretty long one, so it's probably not worth picking up bones. So I would definitely recommend bringing a bone crusher to get that prayer XP. But now we can go ahead and calculate how much total profit we made from this one worm task. So if we take into account the cost of supplies, which was 133,557 GP, subtract that from the money we made, which was 414,008 GP, we get a grand total profit of 280,451 GP. Now since this only took us about 40 minutes, overall an hourly rate would be closer to about 420,000 GP per hour, so not bad. This is of course with some pretty good gear and some very nice teleports. Here's also a look at the total amount of XP that we got from this one task. Hit points, range, slayer, prayer, and magic XP. Prayer XP from the bone crusher, and of course magic XP from high alching some of the drops. And here's a look at all of the loot that we got from this worm task. It says 127, but there were 2 kills where we got absolutely nothing. I just want to say thanks for checking out the video, and if you enjoyed it, please consider giving it a thumbs up and maybe even a subscription. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next episode.